Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. Today we're looking at a MacBook Pro that's in a bit of a sorry condition. The major issue with it is that the left-hand hinge is completely broken. Just give you a close-up view of that there. So all the hinge assembly is going to need to be replaced. We'll replace this cover as well. Then in addition to that, it also needs probably a new hard drive, a new battery, and we're going to see if we can do anything about the bent edges and dents and things like that. So generally we're just going to see how nice we can make this thing look. So I'm going to start out by stripping it down to the hinges, taking all that out so we can see exactly what needs to be replaced. Okay, so starting from the body, as you can see, apart from it being very grubby, there's not a huge amount to do here. We do have this knock around the Ethernet port there. Let me just have a closer look at that. It looks kind of ugly, but there's not a huge amount of damage there, to be honest. So I don't think there's anything that is in dire need of fixing. I think that might be a case of leave it alone. It's slightly wonky on the corner there, which will stop the case from closing quite so nicely, but I'm not going to bother trying to do anything about that. I think I might just make it worse. So we'll leave that one alone. I probably will just give this whole thing a clean out as and when. The hard drive's got to come out, so we'll just quickly drop him out. And we'll get that on test in the workstation. Now the display assembly. Right, so let's remove this properly, which is slide in that direction and then just wrestle it off. Got to be a little bit careful on some of these not to catch those antennas there. Right, so obviously the first issue is this hinge here, that just dropped off entirely. That's supposed to be in there. So that obviously needs to be replaced. The other side, that needs to be intact. So what we'll do is I'll have a look on eBay. It's a little bit loose, but I'll have a look on eBay and I'll see if I can buy a single one of these. Which would be useful. If not, I'll have to buy a pair of them. So I'll find out how much those cost. Then while I'm here, I'm just going to quickly see if the spare cover that I have matches this one. Alright. So lining those up with each other, those do appear to be in a perfect match. So yes, we do have a replacement cover, so that's a good start. That's one less thing I've got to buy. That would be available on eBay. I've no idea where this one came from, to be honest, but probably from a laptop that got written off somewhere, and for some reason or other I just forgot to put that back on it. So that can be chucked in the bin now. And we'll go away and check eBay for some hinges. Okay, so let's take a look at this display assembly. I've got in a replacement hinge to replace the broken one. That one I found on eBay, cost about 7 or 8 quid including delivery, which is ridiculous for what it is, but whatever, does the job. We've got the cover that we're going to use there. That needs a clean, but whatever. And then I'm also just going to see if I can do something about this dent in the corner. Now the dent in the corner I'm going to start out with. Quite frankly, when you encounter this sort of thing, you'll never get this 100% straight unless you're some kind of metal smith or whatever. So Given the fact that the metal is already damaged from the impact, my solution here is literally just to grab a pair of pliers and straighten it out as best I can. So then at least when you close it, it visually looks a lot better. So I'm literally just going to stick a pair of pliers on that and bend the thing straight. I've just got to do it very carefully to avoid breaking the glass, which is going to be very embarrassing if this happens on camera. Theoretically, you could probably do something to protect the back surface a little bit more, but because it's all scuffed to hell, I don't think it's worth the trouble. Right, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead on that, so that's that sorted. So now we're going to replace this hinge. Yeah, these are T6s. Let's just unscrew those. Take off the remnants of the old hinge and put the new one on. Right, I'm just going to make sure that it's roughly straight. There is a fair degree of adjustment when putting the display assembly back into the laptop, so I'm going to rely on that to ensure that this thing is straight, because it's quite impossible to tell otherwise. And while I'm here, I'm just going to tighten the other side up as well, because that will just make sure that the whole display assembly is nice and firm when opening and closing. Right, that's that. Let's throw that out. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and put our nice new cover on. I hate fitting these, it's just a matter of making sure that the cables are all sitting in the right place. There we go, looking smarter already. Now we'll give that a clean up and that's ready to go back on the laptop. There we go. That's looking an awful lot better than it was before. Right, I'm just going to make sure that the hinges are roughly in line with each other. If they're not roughly in line, get a screwdriver and just manually adjust the angle of the hinge. So obviously they'll need to be roughly lined up when you go to fit it back into the laptop. Okay, the hard drive can go back in. This is past diagnostics, so that's fine to keep going. If we wanted to upgrade this, we could fit a better one. It's an old 250GB, 5400 RPM thing. There's a lot of room for improvement there, but we don't want to spend too much on an old laptop. Okay, and the last item of business we're going to do is replace the battery, so we'll drop this out as well. Okay, right, we are ready to put the display assembly back on this. Okay, so although the hard drive did test okay, after reassembling the laptop it's still not booting, and what I've discovered is the hard drive cable, which sits in here, is actually faulty. And the way I determined that was that the hard drive wasn't detected by the laptop when starting up, despite the fact that the hard drive, when I plug it into another computer, is absolutely fine. Likewise, if I connect a different hard drive altogether to the laptop, it's still not detected. So I quickly removed the SATA cable from another MacBook Pro and tested that, and it worked. However, the SATA cable that I tested with is from a slightly different revision and doesn't properly fit, so I couldn't use it. So what I've done is I've bought a replacement one of these, which I've got here, and we're now going to fit this in place. So I will show you how to put this back in. This cable can be a little bit intimidating to remove because it's attached to this fella here, which is the light, the front light, and part of the infrared sensor. I didn't film the take apart, however I'll show you how to reassemble and you'll be able to figure it out. So with the new one, firstly we need to reattach these two together. So I'm going to remove this bit of sticky cover, and now let me just work out how that needs to go. Right, so this is going to go in like this, so the light faces forwards and the connector for the light is facing toward the nearest edge of the laptop. Then that's going to come up underneath like that. So we'll just arrange that so it lines up with the squared off edge there. And I'll just press that in so it's stuck down with the self-adhesive. And now with this pair of tweezers we'll just reconnect this little wire back in. It's a little bit stiff, that you will need some tweezers to get that in, I think. Right, so that's now reassembled. So we'll put this back in place. That just sits in there, and then we've got two screws that are going to hold that in. There we go. Now, have we got any adhesive? Yeah, we do have some self-adhesive on the bottom of this as well, so we'll put that in for good measure. Right. I'm going to position this on the screw holes so that is in the correct place. Then I'm just going to lift and rest that ribbon so it goes in the right place. It's ever so slightly too long, however, there we go. That should do it. Now we've got two tiny little screws that just hold it down at that anchor point. Cable just needs to come back up. It's not quite right. There we go. That's more like it. If you just fold it down against that edge, that will then sit correctly. Right. That reconnects to there, and that hard drive can go back in. There we go, and that's our non-booting issue sorted out. And there we have it. It's still not exactly showroom condition, but as you can see, that is an awful lot better than it was before. And with that new hinge in place, it's actually usable now. So, I'm going to go ahead and do a software service on this, and it'll be good to go. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye for now.